Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to get into a topic that is a bit uncomfortable for people. And the reason why it's uncomfortable is we're going to talk about people that quit, right? People that you're doing business with that quit on you, people that quit business overall. It could be clients that quit working with you. Overall, it's about people that are in your business circle that you see are leaving for a variety of reasons. So we're going to cover what some of those are today and how you can kind of think about those people and interact with them moving forward. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Note, I just realized that the red gel that I have on that light makes this look like The Devil's Advocate. If you remember that movie from, I guess it was back in the 90s when it was Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino, where you were working for the devil in a law firm. So anyway, excuse the demonic undertones of this visual. But maybe apropos for the topic today, and the topic that I think is timely, is how do you deal with quitters in your business world? Now, in the last week, I had a client quit on me. I had two clients who had key staff quit on them. One of my other clients had one of their strategic partners that was working really well. They were working well back and forth. They decided to quit, being a business owner and go get a job. A lot of those dynamics kind of came in, so I thought it was good in kind of a timely situation for us to have a conversation around dealing with quitters. Now, we all heard the old adage, right? Quitters never win and winners never quit. There are some times when people should quit, and that's normally if they have nothing else to give. But most of the time, people quit because what they're doing is hard, and they either aren't prepared to do the work or they don't believe enough in themselves. And so the catch I find with that as it relates to business owners and professionals is when you see someone else quit, often you'll personalize it, right? What else could I have done in the situation of a client who lost some kind of key staff members? Or, if you're a service provider and one of your clients quits on you, was there something else I could have done to try to keep them in the game? And what I'll do is I'll put a link up here to a video that I did about not saving clients. And when I see a client going off the deep end, as a business coach, my job is to remind them of the model they're building, not to try to pump up their tires or make them feel good about themselves. And so when they're going way offside, I just let them know that they're going offside. But I've seen clients quit before and it's familiar, right?
I'm not getting the client that I want, and I just don't think I can take on business this big, and it's becoming overwhelming, and I just don't think I'm cut out for this.
You're right. I remember years ago, a client said to me,
I don't know if I should keep on building this business or if I should go back to school.
And what I said to her is, you should go back to school. And I remember her being really shocked that I suggested that. And she said,
I thought you were going to talk me out of going back to school.
She was going to go back for a grad degree. And instead, we're going to really talk to me about staying in my business. And what I said to her is, if you are torn between building your business and paying tuition and going to school where you hope to get a degree that will get you a good job, that's probably telling you everything that you need to know. Your heart isn't in building the business, so go get the degree and get the job. That might bring you the greatest happiness. I don't understand it because I'm a business owner, and that's I'm just not employable. And so I can't think about, going to do a graduate degree in hopes of getting a job. It just doesn't fit for me. But if you're torn between those two, probably go towards safety. And, and she did do that and did very well and is now a well-respected professional within that type of career. That worked out for her. But there are kind of 5 things that I think about when I see people quitting. And this is an inventory that I run through my head, because even though I talk to you and I go, listen, don't take it personally, it's their issue, you tend to take it personally, right? And I can't really get past having that initial feeling, but then just like in other videos where I shared with you, I have a process that I go through, almost like a pre or during flight checklist. I go through this just to look at what can I learn or what can I reaffirm in myself that benefits from their decision. The first thing that you need to remember is that in almost every situation, a person that is quitting is a person that is feeding a fear. So there is a fear behind the quitting. This might not happen in enough time. This might be costing me other opportunities. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm too young. Maybe I'm too fat. Maybe I'm too thin. Maybe I'm too this. Maybe I'm too that. All of those quitting tendencies tend to come from trying to avoid a perception of pain. A pain of, we're going to have a couple tough years, my family is going to have to sacrifice, yada, yada, yada. So when I see somebody quit, I don't think quitter. I think that's somebody that is scared of something and they weren't able to overcome the fear and or get information that affirmed to them that the fear was irrational and that they should just keep on going. The second thing that I'm reminded of when I see somebody quitting is that quitting is a habit. Most people don't go from never quitting to quitting. It becomes a habitual thing. So for me, I have a very hard time quitting things, and I have a process that I go through, shocker, before I quit something. I'm mindful that, probably 2 or 3 years ago, I joined a golf club, and my goal for myself was to become a good golfer. And so I went out, between 3 and 5 times a week. I took lessons. I was at a great golf course. I'm surrounded by a friendship group of great golfers who were very generous with their advice. And, for every one good shot that I did, which was totally fluky, I would have 20 that weren't good. And I put in for a year. I tried to become a good golfer, and it just became more and more frustrating. And I felt like, I'm putting in the work and it's not happening. And what I did at the end is, after a year, when I had to make the decision about the golf membership, because it was a trial membership for a year, I thought to myself, why am I not getting better at golf? I understand the mechanics, right? I understand the theory. And the truth of the matter is, once I became honest with myself, is that I don't actually like golfing. And I know that sounds like a freaking ridiculous thing to say. The part I like most about golf is hanging out with my friends for 4 or 5 hours, right? And having good shots and good laughs and a couple of cocktails, turning the phones off and really spending time together. Golf wasn't the passion. Spending time with friends was the passion. And when I was golfing, I was golfing alone during the day because I had time. All of my friends were at work. So that didn't really work out. And when I quit, that was a conscious decision. It wasn't based on fear. In that situation, it was based on kind of common sense and coming to an understanding with myself of what I actually liked about golf. In comparison, when I started Think Tank back in 1999, for 3 or 4 years, I thought about quitting. That first year, I thought about quitting every night. I'd given up a great job with a public utility to start the company. And, about 3 weeks in after the honeymoon was over, I was thinking to myself, what the hell did I do? Now, on the other side of it, thank God I stuck with it. But I stuck with it not because I believed in the big vision. I stuck with it because I was embarrassed to think about quitting the business that I had built and going back to get a job. I'd already told everybody that I was fully committed. Going back, I would have felt like a heel. And so what I'm mindful of now is when I'm doing things that are hard, right, or that are uncomfortable, walking 800 kilometers from Paris to Bordeaux on the French Camino, I wanted to quit the first day, if not the first couple hours. But once I'm in it, I know that I just have to get through that. And again, that's habitual. So because I don't quit, it's very difficult for me to quit. For people that quit, it's easier every time you do it. So just be mindful when you're seeing people quit or thinking quitting yourself. It's a habitual thing. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The third thing that I think about when I see somebody quitting is, what can I learn from this, right? What happened in their situation that caused them to think quitting was the only option? I see this a lot with professional speakers, right? A lot of people would love to be a professional speaker. You get to travel the world, you get paid very well for a very small amount of time. You have to have expertise, of course, and deliver value, but it's a pretty awesome way to make a living. Now, how do you make a great living being a speaker? You have a platform. Platform is the amount of people that know you and your work. How do you get a platform? You do a ton of speaking. How do you get a ton of speeches? You speak to every little shithole, roadhouse, jukebox, little place that will have you speak. You do it because you're perfecting your craft. And how much do those small places pay? $250, $500, $750. When I first started on tour, I would go out and I would get, I would work and I would do 10 to 12 events in a week, and I might make $3,000 or $4,000 total. But I was building the craft, building the platform, and so on, where now I can command between $10,000 and $20,000 for a keynote. I put in the work. I ate the shit. I did every little hole that nobody else would do. I would put in the time with the craft and I got the results. But now now I see speakers who might have a book, they're good speakers technically. They're not prepared to make the calls and to go to the little shitholes to get the platform. They expect that, hey, I should be speaking at the Miami conference and I should be speaking here and be flying overseas. You have to do the work to get there. So when I see people quitting going,
well, I guess it's just not meant to be, or I tried but it didn't work out.
What I learn and what I continue to learn from that is almost everybody knows what has to be done. Very few people are willing to do it. Hence, quitting is an affirmation that 90% of the population is not prepared to do what it takes. The fourth thing, which kind of builds on the third, is that when people quit, it teaches you to raise your standards. Raise the standards of the people that you allow within your circle. Raise the standards of how you conduct yourself and how you face your fears, how you face the idea of maybe quitting something. Learn from their mistakes, because you'll see over time the consequences of them deciding to quit, but really raise your standards up. One of the things that I try to do, even through these videos, is try to deliver content that I wish I had when I started and when I was thinking about quitting. And most of the time when I was thinking about quitting, it's because I didn't actually know how to do what I needed to do. I didn't know how to manage the finances of my business. I didn't really know how to run a sales funnel effectively. I would just go knock on doors and try to hawk my wares. My give back and my way of trying to raise the standard of myself and a business is trying to convey information that you, part of this community might be watching and get some glimpses on how to do it, in a more efficient way, how to get better results, how to overcome the potential of quitting something right before it starts to kind of bloom and blossom for you. And the fifth and final thing that I think you can learn by watching people quit is to have compassion. And this is something that I struggle with because I'm naturally very judgy. I don't know what my IGDF or whatever the hell the Myers-Briggs thing is. I'll look it up and put it on the screen. But judgment, I know, is one of them, right? That's one of the things I remember. I think it's E, extrovert, something, judgment. I judge the actions of others against expectations. And what you've heard me say in previous videos is you have to bet on people's abilities. But when I see somebody quit, my first thing is, are you kidding me that you're going to quit now? Like right when you're almost there, you're going to quit? And then I quickly, or as quickly as I can, I quickly try to turn the switch and go, that's terrible that they're making that decision. I feel bad for them. And I hope in time they find something that will help them forget about the mistake they're about to make. What I can tell you, having watched people quit, including, people that have worked with me, people that have worked for me, partners that I've had that jump out because they get too nervous about the business we're building, the cost of quitting, from what I have observed, becomes more and more expensive, and I think somewhat unbearable over time. So in closing, quitting is a habit, right? The more you quit, the more you get comfortable with quitting. The more you quit, the more likely you are to miss opportunities that could be life-changing. So my recommendation to you is before you quit, make sure that you're really clear on why you're doing it and the consequences that are going to come from being a quitter and being seen as a quitter. And then on top of that, if you're watching others quit, go through that process what I talked about, which is understanding, it's based in fear, it's habitual. So people that quit have quit before. There is something for you to learn about it by watching them. It gives you the opportunity to raise your standards. And I think probably most importantly is to try to have compassion for those people, because it really must be difficult to make some of these decisions and then look back on them. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Comments and questions are welcome below. Subscribe if you haven't. Embrace the devilish background in your own life. And remember, gladiators eat first and they don't quit unless there is a business model that makes sense to do so. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.